Hey, Facebook friends. Obviously, I am leaving. Well, I'm at the Palace Station, leaving the Palace Station. They opened at 12:01, and I figured I'd give you a rundown on how that went and let you know what the experience was like. Well, first of all, it was pretty packed. There was a line about maybe 200-300 people long, and everyone was standing right on top of each other, of course. And then security finally came out and said, okay, you got to be 6 feet apart. So the line spread out for like a mile, but there was tons of people. I got some video of the lines that were in there, but I was told by security I couldn't do that, so obviously I stopped. Once the line started moving, it started moving exactly 12:01, just as predicted, but it took forever to get in there because they kept, as the line moved forward, the 6-foot gap closed. So then they had to push everyone back 6 feet with security. Politely, though, they passed out water bottles, and then the line moved a little bit more, and everyone was on top of one another a little bit more. So then they had to reassign the line 6 feet apart. So it was like a push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. Finally, I got in. It's like a game of leapfrog in there. They have these little pads that you have to stand on. So you move from one pad, then you're told to move to the next pad, then you're told to move to the next pad. And finally, I got to the heat check. And the heat check was pretty simple. It was, it's not done up close and personal. It's done from a distance. The machine that does the heat checking it's attached to a laptop. They hit you with this, with these two beams that are heat sensing that are approximately 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet away from you. You stand against a specific, wall, and then they zap you, and then the thermal image takes place, and then you're told you can proceed into the premises, and that's one after another after another. So you got to play hopscotch to get to the machine, but the machine was no big deal. They didn't do ID, they didn't do anything like that. They just checked your temperature. I sort of interviewed security while I was there, and I wanted to find out what's going to happen when it's 110 degrees out and you end up in one of these heat machines. So they have a little waiting room. If you are very hot, they do have a waiting room that's assigned a cool down room. They provide you with water if you think that's going to be an issue. And they told me that they've been testing and testing and testing on employees in and out with different conditions. They did it today, and they said that this machine that they're using, they have it down to a science. The main source where they're getting the heat is from your face, and they hit you right on the bridge of your nose, and they say that gets back to room temperature, your ambient body temperature, the quickest. So they said, despite it being 110 out, this machine should still be accurate. And they're testing and testing, and for some reason you fail it on the first go. They do allow you to go into this little room, and you sit there and you drink water if you're perspiring, if you're overheated, if you ran from the car when it's 115, and that'll allow you to cool down, and you can retake the test. And upon the second test, then you'll be asked to leave. You'll also be asked if you want to see an EMT, which was on staff. Now, into the property itself. Now, bear in mind, this is Palace Station, so it's Palace Station. The concept of the social distancing is going to be extremely hard because you don't know who came with who. So I can come with another person and I can play craps, and I can stand next to them and play craps. They don't know if you came by yourself or whether you're just standing next to a stranger. They have no idea. So it's not really being policed whatsoever. There was no plexiglass in between the machines. Seats were not taken out. So that whole social distancing thing, not happening from what I saw. I'm not knocking them, mind you, because that's probably a good thing, but it's hard to police. They didn't remove chairs, so in the slot machine areas, you could just sit as normal. At the bar, you could sit as normal, because it's basically impossible to tell who's with who. So they don't know if you came together. They don't know if you're complete strangers. But that's pretty much the rundown. I saw a lot of people in there. There was a lot of people in there. It was pretty well packed. So I don't know what the capacity is, but it was pretty well packed, and people were anxious to play table games. They were anxious to play slot machines. They were anxious to drink at the bar. When I just left just now, there was still people pulling in. So that's a good sign, because if the locals are coming out, they still want to play, they still want a game, they still want to spend their money, then that is a pretty damn good sign that we're going to see things get back to normal quicker than we anticipated. But again, it was the Palace Station. They didn't have the strictest rules going on. There was some strict rules going on in terms of how you got into the property, but once you were in the property, it didn't really matter. I'd say half the people were wearing face masks, the other half were not. You were offered face masks, you were offered gloves, but most people, went nah. And some people had them, most people did not. So, whatever that means, it means. I'm going to go down to the Strip tomorrow, probably to the Wynn, the Palazzo, and the Venetian, to see what that's all about, and see if they're any stricter, if they're maintaining the decorum that they said they were going to maintain. But from what I saw at Palace Station just now, it was business as usual, other than the wait to get in, to get your temperature checked and all that other stuff, which tonight it took, half hour or more, because it was opening night and it was just kind of nuts. But by tomorrow, it'll be nothing. You'll just walk right in. It'll cost you, an extra 2 minutes to get in and out of a casino. But like I said, it wasn't exactly as strict as they're predicting, they're saying, and they're wanting. There was no real social distancing to speak of. The only changes in there were, again, the temperature machine, and they had some hand sanitizer machines around there. Other than that, you could not tell the difference of Palace Station now or pre-apocalypse. So that's my report from Palace Station. I might take a minute. This is Gold Coast. They're open too. I might take a minute and walk in there and see what their procedure is. But as far as I see, the local casinos, it's just going to be business as usual. Tomorrow on the Strip will be very telling to see if it's stricter, to see how many people came to town. Very interested to see that. So that is the Palace Station post-apocalyptic report. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.